Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 3, Episode 4 of Hulu's Only Murders in the Building, entitled The White Room. This episode title is based on the location that Charles hilariously visits multiple times in this episode. Side note, is that a real thing? Like, I know it's played for laughs and whatnot in the episode, but I could see a stage actor who panics under the big bright lights experiencing something like that. I don't know. It felt feasible. I don't know, but maybe some of you guys who are in the theater or performed live on stage or know people who have can answer that. But I don't know. I'm just curious because it feels like that could be real. But anyway, as far as the episode title goes, I think it's specifically chosen because that's where Charles proposes to Ben's killer in this episode. Well, it's not where, but it's where he is when that takes place, I guess. Now, I have to say that I'm intrigued by the idea of Charles being in a relationship with the murderer, except for the fact that I know with 100% certainty that Joy isn't the murderer, and we're not going to be finding out who the murderer is until the finale, and this is only episode 4, so yeah. But that kind of brings me to a point I want to make about the show. I think the formula for this show is starting to hurt it because I now know the formula. Well, I've known it for a long time, but it's starting to become, well, I'll just say these red herrings aren't even compelling cliffhangers to me anymore. It puts me more in a space of I'm interested to see how they're going to explain this and absolve this person in the next episode, which is interesting, but significantly less interesting than getting to theorize based on real evidence. And, the mystery is a lot less compelling on this show once you see and understand the formula. And I think it loses something because of that. It doesn't lose much, and I'm not here to complain about the episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The reason I'm bringing this up is that I noticed in this episode that I still rock with the show, even though I have no interest in the mystery whatsoever anymore. And to a degree, that's a win for the show to have such a great cast of three, the three leads, that I'm in on the show regardless of the central premise being formulaic. But it's something that did disappoint me, I think, in this episode, and it was a wasted opportunity, I think. So what am I talking about? Like I've been saying, the show will spend an entire episode absolving the person that they pointed a finger at the end of the previous episode, while also setting up a new person to point the finger at the end of the present episode. Last week, they pointed the finger at Kimber, then this week they absolved her and then pointed the finger at Joy. But this week, they had an opportunity to do something a little bit different. At the end, when Charles is trying to tell Joy that he doesn't want to move in with her, he goes to the White Room. And my initial thought was, what if we find out that Charles panicked for whatever reason on the opening night of the play and went to the White Room during Ben's murder, so now he openly has to wonder if he actually did it. Now, I know maybe Charles' whereabouts are already accounted for, not important, I don't even care enough to verify it. But my point is that I got excited at the idea of them doing something different, and they just ultimately stuck with the formula, which was kind of disappointing. But having said that, my issues with the formulaic nature of the mystery and how it unravels each season my issues don't hinder my ability to enjoy the show, because I'm here less for the mystery and more for the chemistry between the three leads. And to that point, this was another good episode if that's what you're looking for. Just, fun, comedy, good times with the three leads. You get that in spades. But, if you're here for a compelling whodunit, I don't know. I feel like that ship might have sailed on this show. They'll find a way to absolve Joy next week, and they'll point the finger at another cast member, and so on, and huge fucking yawn. But also to that point, I got really into the idea of, as it pertains to this channel and these videos, the idea of let's discuss what we learned this week and theorize. But doesn't that kind of feel pointless now? Like, every episode is going to be replete with red herrings until they just tell us who did it in the finale, and there will have been no clues. We can't be like, oh yeah, that moment in episode 2 and that moment in episode 5. There's nothing that we're going to pick up on. They're just going to tell us who did it at the end and be like, hey, here's all the evidence that... And the whole process of trying to figure it out feels like a waste. I don't like being jerked around like that. But like I said, I don't even care about the mystery anymore. I just like hanging out with these characters, having a good time. It's like, hey, let's watch them solve a mystery. But the active engagement that I had in season 1 of like, oh, let me figure this shit out, it's completely gone to the point of like, I don't even have any interest in that. And I just think that if the show is at a point where it's unwilling to do something different and it's just going to stick with this same simple fucking formula every week, this needs to be the last season. I don't need to see any more seasons of like this exact, like I said, it's losing any kind of emotional response from me. Like, I didn't sit there like, oh shit, Joy did it. Like, we're 2.5 seasons into this show, like, and they've been doing the exact same fucking thing every week. They didn't get any kind of... They're getting nothing from me now as it pertains to the mystery. I'm just like, okay, well, who are we going to point the finger at this week? Oh, okay, it's Joy. Then episode 5, we're going to be like, well, it's really interesting to see how they're going to absolve Joy of this, given that what they said, fucking pig was written with her lipstick. Like, does that mean that she killed a guy? No. Does the fact that she kind of alluded to it earlier in the episode mean she did it? No. But we're meant to sit here and be like, oh shit. And like, I can't imagine how naive you would have to be to think that we just discovered who the murderer is in the 4th fucking episode. But I don't know. There's something I think foolish about that. This idea of like, oh, this person might have did it. When it's like, I'm sitting here, it's the 4th episode. I'm not going to find out who the murderer is in episode 4. So you're wasting your time. You're wasting my time. It's a lifeless and meaningless cliffhanger. And it was kind of novel, I think, in the first season and even the second season. But now I'm just kind of like, man, you got nothing out of me with that in this episode. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't really give a fuck about that anymore. But all the stuff they're getting out of me, and the reason I still love this show, despite that, is the fact that I just really enjoy hanging out with these characters. But there's still plenty to discuss despite the red herring. So let's talk about some of that stuff. For starters... we get the, well, at least for me, unexpected return of Tina Fey's character, Cinda. She wants to recruit Mabel to work with her, and we have to ask why. Not why Cinda wants to work with Mabel, but why the show wanted to bring Tina Fey's character back and is integrating her into the storyline. Because my immediate thought was like, okay, well, she must have did it. But I don't think that's it either. But I wonder if Tina Fey's character or anything having to do with her experiences in season 2 are going to be somehow affiliated with what happens here. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say that Cinda is the murderer. I'm still going... My official pick is the... I think her name was KT, like the stage manager. I said it in one of the earlier videos where she was taking out part of Oliver's set. She has glasses. That's my official pick. And it's my official pick because they've done nothing to actually point the finger at her. But she was been present. So it's like it's a face I'll recognize if it's her. And there's absolutely no evidence that she did it whatsoever. Which, given the incredibly formulaic nature of the show, kind of suggested that she's probably the person who did it. Like, it's going to be, like, we'll find out her motivation in the finale. But I don't have a theory as to why Cinda was reintroduced, but I think we definitely want to get our brains working on that one. I don't really think it's going to impact who the murderer is. But I'm in a very cynical place right now where I'm just like, yeah, fuck it. They're not going to give me any clues to who the murderer is, so why am I even bothering? Maybe I'm wrong about that. So maybe we'll see. But now, when I talk about changing the formula up a bit, I don't want Mabel to leave Charles and Oliver for Cinda, but I am interested in at least a temporary rift. Just something to shake things up again. Because like I said, it's feeling very formulaic at this point. And really, I'm just here for hanging out with the characters. So please give me something that's different. And having Mabel kind of be on the outs with Charles and Oliver and aligning herself with Cinda, even if it's only for 2 or 3 episodes, I'm cool with that. We see Mabel shopping for an apartment at the beginning of the episode, a $4,800 shithole. It's going to be expensive to move out on her own. We know she's losing her apartment at the Arconia. Although I feel like they haven't said the name of the hotel. They haven't said the name of the building that much in this season, and now I just kind of drew a blank on the name of it. But Cinda was talking about a lot of money, and Charles is now engaged, and Oliver is trying to get himself there as well. I could see a rift forming if Cinda offers her enough money. Now she can get her own place, and she can focus on the mystery while Charles is trying to figure out how to not be with Joy, and Oliver is trying to figure out how to be with Loretta, who was absent in this episode, unfortunately. I can see them continuing this angle of moving Mabel closer to Cinda and away from Oliver and Charles. I'm interested to see where it goes. Like I said, as long as it's brief. I don't want that to be like the rest of the season and they reconcile in the finale. Like an episode or two is fine. Let's see. Like I mentioned earlier, we get Kimber's absolution in this episode as we learn that she sold the handkerchief on eBay because Ben wouldn't endorse her anti-aging serum. I wasn't even... Kimber not having her handkerchief even felt like a lazy point of the finger at Kimber. You know, like generally, like what they gave Joy in this episode is kind of the caliber of evidence that I'm expecting. Like where it's like, oh wow, that's kind of a lot. Let's see what they do next week to answer for that. The thing with Kimber not having her handkerchief, I'm like, this is weak. I already know it's not gonna be like, I know the formula. Every episode is somebody different who's not the killer. I already know the formula. I already know it's not going to be Kimber, but you could have at least tried to make me think like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think it was interesting. They continue to push the idea that Ben was talking to a person in that dressing room. I still firmly believe it was food. But we do have now an additional mystery person to consider who fixed a red mark on Ben's face. I'm not saying red mark like whatever. I'm using those quotes because that is the specific phrase that was used, and I kind of want to hone in on that because what does that mean? Like, is it a zit? Is it a stain? Like, I don't know. But can we assume that maybe this person was a makeup artist? If so, do we know anyone who does makeup on the show? I highly doubt it because they wouldn't give away who the killer is like that. But like I said, she says red mark, which is vague enough to make me wonder exactly what it was. Did he call a makeup artist or did he call a doctor? Did he call a dermatologist? Food for thought. I don't know. Real quick, though, I want to go back to talking about Joy, actually, because I thought she had a really good episode. Like, the whole thing with the buying of the fish was funny. Like, I like how she's like, she said Charles, thinking about Charles and those shorts was making her hot. She's like, I need to go to the fish store to cool off. He's like, you gonna buy more fish? She's like, no. Yeah. I thought that was really good. I liked when she was when she was telling him like his omelet should be in breakfast magazine. Like he didn't even like that wasn't even imaginative. She's like, which is not a magazine. Like okay, like she could have said like I don't know like omelet hourly. Like it kind of has a little bit of a what's that alliteration, even though it's not not the same letters, but omelet hourly kind of you get a little alliteration there. Breakfast. I don't know. A side note, I would totally subscribe to Breakfast Magazine. Like, give me that shit all day. Like, what's the new French toast for January? I'd be all over Breakfast Magazine, y'all. But and then her doing that, her saying that she was gonna do that antelope move that she learned in the Kama Sutra. And then whatever that was she was doing, I don't know if that's even a sound that antelopes make, but it was funny. But the best stuff from this episode was Charles and that goddamn patter song. That was when he kept walking out to that tune. That shit made me laugh every time. And then the second time he goes to the White Room and he comes back and he's like, what happened? I was like, I have never heard filth like what came out of your mouth. And then you get Howard in the background like, Tom is a Christian, Charles. Man, that shit had me dying, man. That was a great That was a great, that was a great moment, man. I can't get over. I don't know why Breakfast Magazine is the part that's really getting me, but I'm like, man, I will fuck with Breakfast Magazine. Dog. Oh man, we got some new sausage links coming out in November. I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta get my life together, y'all. So I digress. While Charles works on performing the patter song by making omelets and then mimicking making omelets, like this guy's like, are you whisking? I don't know. I just thought that whole shit was funny as fuck, man. Mabel and Oliver have Howard let them into the theater so they can figure out if Ben was poisoned. Oh man, I'm just getting my life together. They find Kimber in there, and like I said, we've already talked about the important stuff that came out of that conversation. But can we talk about Mabel's old lady energy when she tried to act young? Like I kind of felt like there was almost like this weird like Cardi B-esque accent she was doing. Again, really funny stuff. I really like Selena Gomez, man. I don't know what she's like in real life, but her old lady energy in the show, which I agree she has, I kind of dig it. Like I feel like I don't know anything about Selena Gomez, but I feel like I would totally hang out with Mabel, and it would be an awesome time in real life. Like I would love hanging out with Mabel. Selena Gomez might be completely loathsome for all I know. I'm sorry, Selena Gomez. You won't watch this anyway. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this one. I think if they're going to continue this exact same formula, like I said earlier, this needs to be the last season because the murder mystery aspect of this show, it's not keeping me here. It's the characters and the laughs. And fortunately, the show is still performing at a high level in that regard. But yeah, man, I don't know how I'm going to handle talking about the mystery and stuff. Like, I mean, we can still go over it and be like, this is what happened and this is what I think of it. But like, at the end of the day, this show is really just all about the funny stuff and the camaraderie of the characters, the chemistry of the cast. I think it works. I really enjoy watching it every week. I can't wait to watch this show. I enjoy my 30 minutes with it every week, which says a lot. Like I said, considering like the main feature of the show is this murder mystery, and I'm checked out on that shit. Like I don't even give a fuck who killed Ben because I'm just like, I know I'm getting consecutive weeks of red herrings and shit, and I'm just like, I don't fucking care. So I feel like they missed an opportunity here to do something different. I don't want to say missed an opportunity. They chose not to take one, is the best way to put it. But at the end of the day, I still love this show. Let me know what you think about what I was saying about the formulaic nature and how it's not really working anymore. It probably hasn't been working for a lot of you guys for a long time, but let me know what you think about that in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 5. And until then, peace.